Hello folks, welcome back to War Tree Ironworks. Today we are keeping it simple stupid with a couple strips of 1 inch by 3/16 inch mild steel that we are going to turn into a simple riveted cross. Let's get going. Hello folks and welcome back. I'm Johnny and this is War Tree Ironworks.
Oh god.
Today we have Jim from the Crazy Viking Forge. How are you doing today? Alright, so as you can see here, we're starting out with our long piece, and we're just going to give it a taper. It can be a long taper, it can be a stout taper, whatever taper you want. There's no wrong way to do it. It's completely arbitrary, it doesn't matter. Do what seems right for you. But while you're doing what seems right to you, make sure to go back to your side sections and pound that down, take care of all the upsetting that is going to occur so you can make sure that is a nice, evenly flat taper. But also, please note that because we are working with such thin material, it's going to want to bend as you do your tapered sides. So as you're working the tapered sides, flip it over to the flat and make sure those upsets get taken care of, get the bend back straight, and keep carrying on. Just make sure you're doing your hammering nice and evenly so your taper is symmetrical and you should be all good to go. Just make sure you're using a light enough hammer. Like here, I'm using a 16-ounce ball peen. When you've got all your ends tapered, we're going to throw that back into the fire, and when it's ready, we're going to pull it out and do some fullering on the very beginnings of those tapers. Basically, the idea is to separate the taper from the rest of the bar, and once again, you have to go back and forth between fullering and flattening the upsets back down to that 3/16 of an inch thickness. And like I mentioned earlier, this is a very repetitive process as you are going to be doing this for all 4 ends. With that being said, don't worry about getting this perfect. You're going to have marks, you're going to have little areas that are thicker or thinner than others. And that is absolutely okay. This is supposed to be a quick and simple item that you can sell. As long as it's, for the most part, symmetrical and your lines look good to your eye, you're probably doing it right. So really don't worry about getting it perfect. I mean, you don't even have to do the tapers if you don't want to. You can just do 2 flat strips riveted together to make a cross. And so now we're getting to this point where all 4 of our sides are tapered and fullered, and we're moving on to the riveting section. Now here I'm just marking out the general area of where I want the cross section to be sitting on the main section of the cross, and we're just going to eyeball it until it looks good. Once you feel like you have your 2 pieces positioned properly, we can go ahead and make our markings, grab our center punch, and get our rivet holes ready to be drilled. Now as you can see here, when I make my marks, it's painfully obvious that they're not perfectly centered, and that can be fixed. These are just marks, they can be moved. As you can see here, kind of moving it to the side and putting in a new mark, and now it's fairly centered. At this point, we're more than halfway through our video and into the final stretch of this process. Our holes are drilled and we're ready to rivet it together. And as you can see here, you can make your adjustments as you are riveting the pieces together and make it a nice, tight final position for the cross section. And there you have it, a nearly completed cross. All we need to do is clean it up and put on a nice finish, which we are going to do here next. Now for my finish, I'm brushing it with a brass barbecue brush. It's not the greatest thing in the world to use. In my opinion, you should go to a welding shop and get a brass welding brush. But in a pinch, the barbecue brush works. And now as a side note, you may have noticed I drilled a small hole at the top of the cross. I figured since it's so close to Christmas, might as well make it a Christmas tree ornament. I'll leave it there and I'll see you next time. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to War Tree Ironworks.